Alright. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the 5th live stream already. As always, we will start things off with a little Q&A, and then I will announce what we will be doing today. Today's live stream will be a little shorter. I want to be finished in around 3 hours, so let's just see what we will get done until then. Let me try to actually move this down here. I should practice this. I don't know why this is so difficult to me. So here's the chat, and now feel free to ask me some initial questions. Yeah, I definitely like that too. It's really nice to see that we have some, how do you say that in English? People like regulars, right? Yeah. The croissant was not my dinner. I ate something like half an hour before I started the stream setup, and I will eat something after the stream, but because I constantly need to eat something, I'm now eating a croissant. Yeah, I know a lot of questions are probably already answered, but just let me know if you have any questions, because it's always great for me to get into the stream by answering questions, because it's pretty easy to do. And then when I'm kind of up to speed, we can start with the programming. Will there be zoos? Why not? I guess they would be one of the more complicated buildings to create procedurally. But it would be nice to have. Hi Delta Gamer, perfect. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of a blessing, but it's also a little bit annoying. Well, welcome to the stream then. I hope you'll enjoy it. No, yesterday I had to do contract work, so I didn't get anything new done, but we will continue today. Yeah, that's also something that I'm interested in. What degree of terraforming tools will we have, and how will the game deal with multiple cities from the same player? Terraforming tools, I think in the very first version there will just be procedural terrains. But I definitely want there to be terraforming tools. I think we talked about this in the past. I want the basic ones just as make higher, make lower, flatten and smooth. More complicated stuff like importing real-time terrain, for example, could be something that a mod offers. Yeah. Will there be military stuff? I doubt it. Which was the last SimCity that had military zones? I remember SimCity 2K had it. Did SimCity 3K also have military zones still? I don't think I will include it in the game, because I don't think it has that much of an impact on the cities, at least the cities that I know. But again, a mod could offer that. Hi Plasmix. Nice to have you here. Alright, lots of people from Zimtropolis. Hi Inge. Yeah. I think this is now the only way in which we can have conversations, but that's awesome. Ah, wow, that's interesting. I didn't even catch that in my analytics, that people found it through there. Yeah, I know these kinds of projects, but I'm trying my best to not make it look abandoned. Kind of. I mean, this will be what we work on today, lane changing, and we came up with this pretty complicated solution at the end of the last stream, and people kept me writing after that with more detailed ideas about that implementation. But then someone on the Something Awful forums actually came up with something even simpler, but I will explain that after the Q&A session. Yeah, this will be interesting in the future. The question is how to strike a balance there. Like if it's worth the basically memory that it requires. Will we be able to divide the map in different cities or districts? I don't think in the vanilla game, but again, that is something that a mod could offer. Oh, that's interesting. What are you streaming for, Furry? Yeah, you might have like arms industry. Yeah, I just answered that. By the end of today, will they have a smooth changing animation? I think they already have a smooth changing animation, at least for straight roads. So I think yes. What do you think is the most difficult traffic related problem you have yet to tackle? Basically what we're working on today, and after that how to make traffic respond dynamically to other traffic. For example, that if there is a if there's pretty heavy traffic on one road, that new incoming traffic will take a different route than from that. Hold on, I think I got croissant stuck under my mouse. Sorry, alright. When would you start implementing bigger procedural buildings? I think that's something people are waiting for, maybe next stream. Yeah, that's definitely something people are waiting for. I want to do it as soon as possible, but I first want to make sure that we can build roads that can handle the traffic of bigger procedural buildings. Will we be able to name roads and other stuff? Maybe, yes, why not? Do you have an idea for the final art style? No, not for the final art style, because I don't want to settle on anything yet. I mean, what it looks like now can give you an idea. I've often used Mirror's Edge as the comparison of where I want to go, art style wise, but I will have to see, especially if I implement the bigger procedural buildings, what they will end up looking like. Of course, I have some ideas in my head, but it's kind of hard to describe them without actually implementing some of them. Funny blue light is, I think, reflection of my window or something. How do you make all these files show in Sublime text? What do you mean? How to make them show? What is the plan for realty of bridges? Will you be able to create floating roads at any place, any height, or will you implement something more realistic? I guess the first implementation will be to make anything possible, even if it's ridiculous. They will have pillars holding them up though. Then later on I might think about how to make them more realistic, to make some stuff impossible that wouldn't work in real life. Let me turn on my light here. Alright. Ah, you mean the car should rotate when changing lanes? Yeah, we can try to implement that today. Ah, okay, so that's what you guys mean. Yeah, let's see. I would first like to get pathfinding and lane changing work properly, and then we can make it look nice. Yeah, something like that could definitely be implemented. I talk a lot about mods. Would I ever consider merging them into the regular game? Yes, definitely. I almost expect this to happen because there will always be so many features that you can make much more detailed than they are in the regular game. And I'm pretty sure that modders will be the first to do that, and they might get further in the development of some features that I get because I'm trying to focus on all the features at once. So if some mod implements one feature really nicely, I would be more than happy to merge the mod into the game if it makes sense in the context of the whole game and it's not like a speciality that only certain people are interested in. Yeah, it would be awesome if I inspired people to learn programming to mod this game. Ah, yeah, you can just, if you drop any folder onto Sublime Text, you will get it here. Will there be structures that are very large, like 300 plus meter skyscrapers or massive factories and convention centers? Yes. Aren't you afraid the game is going to lag when you add a couple of mods? Well, depends of course how well the mods are implemented. I mean, that's always a problem, but why should I be worried about that? I mean, people can choose which mods they want to install, and they can themselves make the trade-off of performance and additional functionality however they want it to be. Will the game run on my 4 years old notebook? Yes, but maybe you will only be able to build small cities, but I will of course do my best to make it work. Yeah, to optimize it, but right now functionality is first. Yeah, I agree. Well, maybe if you watch a bit, you kind of get the hang of the kind of thinking that you need for programming. Will procedural buildings fill out whole blocks even if the plots are irregular shaped? Yes, they will in the future. But again, this is not something very important. I first want to get the core gameplay going, then I will focus on aesthetics such as this. Will you be able to mod procedural buildings? Yes, of course. I guess this will even be one of the most popular things to mod. Awesome. That's Sublime with 3. Any plans for mods global repository excluding installation of unknown mods? I talked about in the past that I want some kind of global repository for mods with dependency relations between mods and all kinds of neat stuff, and auto installation of mods that are required for a certain save game, for example. It will still always be possible to install unknown mods just by copying some files in the right directory. So I won't be like I won't try to control mods totally. I will just try to offer the most convenient way to get and install them. And I might even think to, in the far future, to create something of a mod store where creators of mods can also actually sell their mods, not just give them away for free. Because if I look at stuff like all the different transport mods for SimCity 4 and how much work went into that, I can imagine that people would actually want to try for, want to pay for mods that take this much work, and as soon as people start paying for mods, mods can become much more ambitious, and if I can offer the marketplace for that, all the better. But these are some really far future ideas. Maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say anything about performance yet because it just doesn't make any sense. How long do you have before your studies start claiming your time again? Well, right now it's semester holidays, and the next semester will start in October. But I don't really have any really hard courses anymore. The only big thing that remains is to write my bachelor's thesis. I don't know yet how much time this will take. I will try to just do it on the side. And I also don't know when I will start with that, but this will be the only thing taking up a larger amount of time. Yes, it will definitely be DRM free. I will try to get on Steam, but first I will distribute it using a very nice page that's called itch.io, where indie developers can start selling their games in a really hassle-free way. So that's where Citybound will first launch. I think I talked about that in the past. Please check out the FAQ on the Citybound wiki. So here you have the FAQ as well as the stream Q&As, where people started transcribing all the questions that were answered in past streams. Yes, it will procedurally create new terrain as soon as you grow into the existing one, and there will be different kind of biomes, and it will be diverse. Are you going to use this as the topic of your thesis? No, my thesis will be about fluid simulation, but this might actually become useful for Citybound. Citybound during the alpha will cost around $6, and after that, depending on how quick progress is, I will raise the price to $10 and then to $20. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I will do that after I launch the first alpha. Is my background desktop moving? No. Maybe you smoke too much, I don't know. No, it's not possible yet because the economics are too imbalanced. I can't make a city this big, so this is what I'm currently working on to make it possible in the first place. Alright, last questions and then we'll start coding. I can try to do that today. While you think of your last questions, this is a good question. I tried, but it's still very buggy and I can't figure out the bugs. I would love to, because this is something that I really need. For the people who don't know what it is, don't worry, it's something regarding the graphics. No, we don't have a release date approximation. Okay, I will, thanks. Why not? I don't know. As soon as the core gameplay is implemented and I think that it's at least a little bit of fun, then I will release the alpha. No, they're not, because traffic agents are much more intelligent than just particles of water. I mean, you can model traffic simulation as sinks and drains, and that's even kind of what SimCity 5 did, but that's also the reason why it's so unrealistic sometimes. Alright, you can think of some more questions. In the meantime, I will try to switch to the right Git branch, because yeah, no, I'm still on the right Git branch. So let me try to replicate our scenario that we used last time to get the vehicles to switch lanes. We'll move the chat over to my second monitor. So yeah, they're now switching lanes as soon as they start, and yeah, let me open up the window, because it seems like there's no oxygen in here. I hate that about my tiny room. I hope the city outside won't be too loud for you guys. Thanks for the reminder. No, I can't talk like Eric Cartman. Alright, so let me try to visually explain what we will do today and what kind of the solution is that I came up together with some guys for the problem that we encountered last week. Alright. So last week we implemented lane merging, but then we hit the problem that we wanted to make lane merging over several road segments possible, so that we could do stuff like have a car come from here and then only decide to merge here, for example, or come from here and then, depending on traffic, merge forth and back a couple of times before committing to the lane where it wants to be eventually. But the problem is that the way pathfinding works right now is that it tells a car one very specific route that it should take, and doesn't even tell the car that it could also use these alternate lanes here. So today what we will do is we will change the pathfinding to and let me start to use colors here. So in the past we only had one specific path, for example like this, and today what we want to do is we want to tell a car that there are alternate lanes that it can use. For example, here on this lane it can also switch to this lane and it will be fine. Here it can switch here, here it can switch here, but here it shouldn't merge into this lane anymore. And first we will have to think about a way to to add this new information to the data structure that stores all of our path information. And for that I will explain in a little more detail how pathfinding works right now. So let's quickly draw a small graph here. I don't know, just whatever. So the way pathfinding works right now is we have something that I called in the code the oracle. And a car, when it's traveling through the city, so let's say we have a car right here, and it wants to get, let's say it wants to get here. So a car can ask the oracle at the next intersection, if I want to get to this place, which of the next roads can I choose? And the oracle will tell it, here you should use this one. And then at the next intersection it will again ask the oracle which next road should I choose, and it will tell it the next one and the next one. But now of course we expected that all of this information is already stored in the oracle. The problem is that of course when a vehicle goes that way for the first time, we have to figure out what the shortest path actually is. So let's say this is the first car to ever go here, and let's start labeling the roads with names or numbers like this works in a real game. So let's say this is road 1, 2, 3, whoops, and 4. And these are, we don't need to number the other roads because they won't occur. So first the car will ask the oracle, if I want to go from 1 to my destination lane 4, which is the next lane? And the oracle will notice that we don't have an answer for that yet. So what it will then do is it will run an A-star pathfinding algorithm that actually finds the shortest path, and it finds out that the shortest path is like this. And now that we figured out this path, which we got from the A-star algorithm, we can add entries to our oracle. So we can say, if we want to go from 1 to 4, our next road will be road 2. But we also have some additional information. If we want to go from 2 to 4, our next road will be road 3. And well, if we want to go from 3 to 4, the next road that we will have to take is road 4, and then we're there. Let me also do that in blue. I have a graphics tablet. I tried to find it for like 3 minutes and didn't find it. I can connect it for the next stream. Segments are not yet merged, we won't do that. But first let me know if you understood the basic way that pathfinding is implemented. So we don't do A-star pathfinding for every vehicle, but instead only the first time that a vehicle goes somewhere we do the pathfinding. We store the entries in our Oracle database, in our database, and then if another car comes, we don't have to recalculate the path. We can just look up the entries in our Oracle. Now we want to store additional information, and for that I will draw a new picture. Let me try to get this right. Yeah, let's say we start here. We have something like this, but here we have additional lanes. And let me draw some lane segments. We have our car here. Let's actually make it more. Let's make it a more interesting scenario where we actually want to go here, so we have to do at least one lane merge. So what pathfinding would tell us right now is a path that just goes like this. Then it immediately tells us, so it tells us to go here, then it tells us to switch lanes and continue over here. But now we also want to be able to choose to do stuff like this as soon as we end up on our final lane here. So what we need to do is we need to encode additional information, and this information will basically tell us, let me remove the blue lines, and let's say our car is now here, and the pathfinding will tell us, okay, this is the next segment, and we could just go there, like this is the recommended segment of the pathfinding. But we now also want to have additional information, and this additional information should basically tell us, okay, you can also switch to the lane on your left, and you have, let's say, 500 meters before you have to switch back to my recommended path. Same to the right, you can also switch to the right, and there you can stay forever, that's possible. So this is the new information that we have to encode in our pathfinding. Not only what is the next segment, but also if I were to switch left and right, first can I even do that? And if I can do that, how long can I stay on that lane? So did you understand that? I will have a look at chat in the meantime. Let me know if you guys understood that. Yes, right now the Oracle is what takes up most of the memory in big cities. But it's implemented as a cache, and old entries are invalidated after a while. So it only keeps the data that is used really often by most of the cars. And basically by setting the maximum size of this Oracle, you can make your own trade-off between CPU intensity, because you recalculate a lot of paths if the Oracle is small, or memory intensity, where you just keep a lot of paths and don't have to recalculate them as often, but you also need more memory. That's how how it works. Yeah, that's how it will be implemented, but right now it's just length. Okay. Yeah, as I said earlier, this is something that I will have to think about in the future. How to maybe, for example, store the two shortest routes, and then to switch between them based on congestion. But I would first try to get it going with just one shortest path. The Oracle is completely in memory. Yes, this would allow for that, because let me try to paint the picture. Whoops. If we have something like this, come on. If we have something like this, and then we have neighboring lanes, but they split off, and we want to get here. And let's say our car is here. Then we can, of course, we can switch to the neighboring lane, but only to about here. So here we would have an entry that says like you can switch the lane and you have, let's say, 300 meters, 200 and 100. And then the car can switch over to that lane if it's necessary or it wants to. And we will think later about what it means when a car wants to switch lanes. But here it will have to switch back because the system identifies that this road will go somewhere else. Alright. But a car will only switch once between the nodes. No, it can also switch. It can also switch over one node. It just has to take into account how much distance it has left to switch back. I don't know yet, I will have to see. Yeah, it can get intelligent in all kinds of ways like this. The way the Oracle works, it calculates the paths on demand because there's no way to predict where each agent wants to go. Because, for example, someday it might be weekend and they don't want to go to their work, so it doesn't help if the Oracle pre-calculated paths. Also, it would be way more complicated to implement because then I would have to think which would be the smartest things to pre-calculate. But the way it's implemented right now is actually the most intelligent it can be because, as I said, it calculates the paths on demand. And then if a lot of other cars need the same path, it's already in the Oracle. And I think this system knows much better which paths are important and should be stored than me trying to predict that in code. Yeah, kind of. It will be kind of... The pathfinding should tell a car where it is possible to switch lanes, and then the lane switching can be done as desired. Yeah, it's 60... well, it depends what you're running it on. If you have a 64-bit processor, it's definitely 64-bit. Yeah, this is something that you can adjust easily. What do you mean? Why should we prevent them from switching there? When would a car switch to that other lane and back again? For example, if there are cars driving very slowly on its own lane, and it could be faster by switching to the other lane, then it might try to do that. Yeah, to overtake, exactly. How long does A* take to calculate one road on a 10,000 edges network? I don't know. Let me try to remember the early demos. Let me open up the Citybound blog and let's have a look at one of actually the first post ever where I showed my traffic simulation prototype. That you can see here. So in this demo you have about 8,500 road segments, so around a network with 10,000 edges, and I already implemented the Oracle system back then, and let me try to remember the numbers. I think I'm calculating like I would say maybe 1,000 paths a second, and all the other pathfinding is done using cached paths. And yeah, that was around the balance that I struck there. So A star is pretty damn fast, but not fast enough to do it for every car all the time. So that's why I introduced the Oracle system in the first place. Yeah, we can do that later. Yeah, we will start coding in a second. I just want to make sure that I understand what I'm doing and you also understand it. Yeah, that's how we will implement it. But it should still be able to switch if it needs to. How will I prevent this? Yeah, I talked about that. I will think about alternate routes later. Alright, so before we can actually start implementing that, I would suggest that we first build ourselves a little helper tool that someone already suggested in the last stream, and that is a kind of debug tool that just allows us to create vehicle spawners, and we will do that so we can just create a road network and won't have to rely on these houses or these businesses. I want something where I can just click on this lane and say please spawn loads of vehicles there and have them go to this location using the pathfinding, and then we can use that to debug all of the things that we implement. So yes, this is the first thing that we will do today. Let me close all of that. What would be a good place to add this? Let's just create a new file and call it debug car spawner JS. Thanks, Delta Gamer. Alright. Where did it go? Debug car spawner. Let's think about what we need. We will let me collect my thoughts for a second. Yeah. Enter adding mode. This is where we will start adding car spawners. Why didn't it save this? Debug car spawners. Yes. Yeah, I will leave these debug tools in the game even when I ship it, so of course they will be hidden, but modders can use them. So what we want to do is we want again to listen to our cursor, set listeners, start adding. No, we just want up add point and move. I will explain in a second what I'm doing here. Sorry, I have the font at my small sizes. Is it better like this? Or is it like this? Let's do like this. Alright, so this will be our listener for when we release the mouse button. And we will create a second listener for when we move the mouse. Exit heading mode. Alright, now we want to store our current how do you call that? Sinks and drains, is that correct? Current car. Oh, let's call it spawner and drain. No. Oh, let's just use it as that. Current car sink. Alright, now if we add a point, if we add a point, we want to find the closest lane there is, so we can, yeah, whatever. We don't even need the move listener. We just want to listen to when the mouse is released, and then we want to create either a spawner or a sink in this place. And we want to find out which lane we clicked on. And for that we will use, what is it called? I think find close lane, no? Point, get point on close lane, yes. So we want to get information about the closest lane. Pointer position 3D, let's say, let's give it a radius of 10 meters. Don't worry, Compute, I'm not explaining a lot what I'm doing, I'm just using stuff that are already implemented. What we're doing is we want to create this new tool that you can use to spawn cars. Of course we wanted to listen to our cursor, so we can click on a lane in the map and it will add a spawner there, and that's what we're currently doing. So we get the position of our pointer in the world in 3D and we find the closest lane. Now if there was a lane, then this is lane info.lane. And we also want to know the position. How do we get the position? Oh, we don't, or whatever, we don't really need that. And alright, and that's alright. Now it depends on if we already created a spawner. So if there's already a current car spawner that we're creating, then current car sink is just our lane, and let's add to car spawners Let's add an entry. We add a new spawner. We can give it an ID. Maybe, no, we don't need that. Let's just, so we have a source lane. And our source lane is let's give them better names. Source lane. Destination lane. Current destination lane. Destination lane is current destination lane, so we don't even need that. And then let's add one more property to our car spawner, and that is spawning rate. Let's just use a number of, how about, which time unit would we use? Let's say 1 car per game physics step, so that's like 60 cars per second. No, that's a lot. Okay, let's do that. Whatever, let's just use 1 and see what that looks like. It doesn't really matter. If we don't have a source lane set yet, we are basically setting our source lane. Yes. We are setting our current source lane to lane. Okay, now before we implement the functionality, let's create a visual representation of our car spawners, and for that let's just display them as points. And I will just copy this code from something that I call debug points, that you can use to quickly display positions in a 3D world for all kinds of stuff. Let's make them a little bigger. Let's give them a color. Which color should our, let's say, source material, car spawner source material is, let's say the sources are colored green and the destinations are colored red. And yeah, let's also add this init function to our new module, so we can get access to a 3D scene that we can add these points to display them. Yeah. And we wanna all right. So let's now create the function that updates our car spawner display. Thanks. Destination. Car spawner particle system it's called, because the points that we display are called particles in 3JS. Oh, now I've got a stupid fly in my room. Not anymore. Alright, if we already have one, then we want to remove it from the scene again, because we will create a new one. So we want to now create a car spawner. Okay, we will. Sorry for not really communicating well what I'm doing, but I want to get this debug tool implemented quickly so we can focus on the more interesting stuff. So please excuse me while I will just do some programming without explaining what I'm doing. I'll just try to get this working as quickly as possible. Okay, let's add a button somewhere in our menu that we can hide to enable this. So now we should have an additional menu button. Yes. Spawn cars. We just reuse this icon, whatever. Now let me connect that. Whoops. New debug spawn cars. Debug car spawner. I think that's what we call it, right? Enter adding mode, yes. Exit adding mode. And then we have to include it here. And we have to initialize it. Let's see if this works. Why does this not work? Oh, so that's error 63. What? Oh, function. We actually implemented road bulldozing in a stream. Wasn't that even the first stream ever? I don't remember. Oh, you mean roads, okay. Yeah, roads were bulldozable way before that. Alright, let's see if our thing works. Does it even do anything? Alright, we will need some more debugging. Just to see if this is all properly connected. Maybe we should use the same names everywhere, that could be helpful. Yeah, okay. So now if we click on this lane and then on this lane, we get an error, geometry is not defined. So let's just call that geometry. Let's try again. So now we have these two dots created that show us the source for cars to spawn in the destination, but the colors don't work yet. Why is that? Let me look somewhere. Oh, but that's how it's supposed to work. Ah, no, we should do this. Hold on. Just a sec. Alright, now you can see here a green dot and a red dot showing us that we successfully created a vehicle spawner. We can add a second one by, for example, clicking here and clicking here. What? Why did we get one here? Oh, I forgot something. We have to, of course, reset our current source lane to know if we just created one. So we can do stuff, for example, set this as the source lane and this as the destination lane. Alright, so now that we have the visual representation, let's actually make it work, and for that let's add an update function. Let's get physics frame as an input so we can spawn cars at any rate that we want. Alright. So first let's iterate over all our spawners. Let's make sure to call this here. I hope I'm not boring you guys with what I'm currently doing, but it will start to look interesting in a second. So now we can see if physics frame modulo car spawner spawning rate, we called it, yes, equals 0, then we spawn a car. So let's see how to spawn a car. First we have to create a car, of course. Create car. And in the beginning we will just create normal cars. Later we can modify it to also create trucks, to vary it up a bit. Yeah, we create a car. It's not parked at any building initially. We create a car. We put the car on its source lane. So car spawner source lane, and in the beginning let's just put it at the very beginning of the source lane, and then we set its destination. Where is that? Set destination lane, spawner, destination lane. And let's have it go to half of the destination lane length. So now this should start spawning cars. Let's see if that works. I'm pretty sure I forgot something, but I don't know. Maybe it works already. So we click here and we click here. We have our spawner. We get loads of errors. Where is that? Ah, so that's undefined. Why? Did I misclick? I think we should add a condition there. I forgot a condition. Oh no, if lane info, so that should be correct. That's strange. Let's try that again. Source lane, destination lane. Yeah, we are implementing a car generator sync, exactly. So let's see here, it's trying to add the car to a lane, but the lane that it wants to add them to is null. So let's see where that came from. It wants to merge. Why is that? That's strange. Let's see here. Car source lane, or its current lane should be lane 0. Its destination lane, it doesn't have a destination lane. Alright, so somehow setting the destination lane didn't work. Why is that? Whatever, let's just debug it. Let's see what we got. Stop. So here's our object. Destination lane is the lane number 3. Does that make sense? No. Why is it number 3? It should be... let me enable something which will help us identify lanes. I've got this helpful debug view here. Now if I reload, you see all of this debug information on the left here, and if I use the builders tool, it will tell us the IDs of the roads. So no, so this was actually right. So lane 0 and lane 3, this should be our destination lane. This worked, but the car didn't get the notice. Why? So we saw that our spawner has the right destination lane set and the right source lane set, but our car... that's interesting. We first get this error. So maybe we should break on the first exception to get that. What are you guys talking about? Whatever. Alright, we want to listen to exceptions. Do it again. Alright, so the first exception that we get is actually in pathfinding. Source lane is undefined. Why is that? Set destination lane. But we already put the car on the lane, so why doesn't it have a source lane? Is it on a lane? What? Alright, somehow we're passing them in the wrong order. I'm passing put car on lane. Let's see here, put car lane position. What the hell? Set destination. I forgot one argument. That's stupid. Set destination lane, of course we need to call it with car. That's a problem with JavaScript. You do really obvious errors, but there's no compiler that can tell you, so everything is really nasty runtime errors. Yay! Let's see now. I missed it, Turek. Oh no. Did you tell me I missed that? I'm sorry. But it looks like our spawner's working, right? Do we get any exceptions? What is this? Yeah, we got some exceptions and I know why they are occurring. First, let's disable our debug messages here. And then we have a problem because cars usually have a transport trip associated with them, but our dummy cars of course don't. So when our car arrives at its final destination, we have to just check if it doesn't have a trip associated with it. We also don't have to finish that trip, we just have to disable the car. Alright, so now we can try some stuff like this. We can spawn cars on this lane, set the destination here, and yeah, they're all merging at the very first opportunity they get to, which is of course stupid. But now we can really start experimenting. I will eat a little more croissant. Let me know how you guys are doing. I will now continue reading chat more, because now we have our debug feature implemented, and in a couple minutes we will start with our actual implementation of the new pathfinding. Yeah, I think our car production rate, our car spawning rate is a little too high. Let's see how many cars we are at. So yeah, we have like 4,000 cars all on top of each other. And we got an error where? That's strange. Ah, I know why. Alright, so let's maybe lower our spawning rate just a little bit to like oh, that's stupid. Let's call it spawning delay instead, then the word makes sense. So now we wait for 30 ticks before spawning the next car. Yeah, that looks more reasonable. Still a lot of cars. I think I'm still spawning them way too fast. Ah, now we can see something strange happen, and I noticed that when I wanted to prepare the lane merging for the update video. You can see that here on the final on the final lane, the cars need to switch over to the opposite lane, because this is what I set as the destination lane, but they're now trying to merge into the opposite lane, which is of course not very nice. I already know where the bug for this is, so let's fix this first. And the error is here, because our condition is we just look if our next lane is the lane to our left or to our right. Hold on. Yeah, exactly. And the problem is we don't check if this other lane is on the same side of the road or on the opposite side of the road. So we should add a check here. Car lane right lane A relation. I will have to check what this is written as exactly. Right lane A relation. If it's actually a lane on the same side of the road, which would be helpful if we're trying to merge. Yeah, let's not have multiple chat rooms. I will just try to pay more attention in the future, or if I find an error and I'm stuck, I will look at the past messages. And let's do the same for trying to merge left. So now the cars should no longer try to merge on the opposite lane, as you can see here, but instead they should do a proper U-turn. And I think I will increase the spawning delay even more to like to this. So let's recreate that scenario. We have something like this. Set this as our source lane. The top one is our destination lane, so now they should do a proper U-turn. The new PC is awesome. I think it's the best PC I ever owned. Yeah, I think I would go crazy if there was a message sound on Twitch chat. Yeah, and I think it even works that way already. They have to be on the closest lane on their side of the road. So If the building is on their side of the road, they have to be on the rightmost lane to pull into the building. If they're coming from the other direction, they have to use the leftmost lane. That's what will be used. Right. How many viewers are we, by the way? I will get some more water, then we can continue. We can also do a quick bathroom break, so I'll wait for like 5 more minutes. Yeah, I'm using a multi-monitor setup. I regularly move the chat over to my second monitor. By the way, here on the left in this debug info, I don't know if you can all read that text, but here you can see the number of entries in our pathfinding oracle. Here you can see when it gets updated, which basically only happens when all paths are invalidated. The oracle is not persisted in the save game, basically because it only takes like a second to completely recreate it, even in a big city. So there might be some initial lag in big cities for a couple of seconds, but then the whole oracle is rebuilt, so there's no need to save it in the save game. Because as I said, it takes up a lot of memory. Because basically we're not deleting the cars if they arrive, we're keeping them, that's why it's increasing all the time. What do you mean, do they have to wait for an opening? No, they will just disappear. It will only be playable inside this special browser that runs full screen, so only as a program. Alright, we'll continue in a second. Will roads have caps so they don't just teleport to the other direction? I don't think they will have caps, they will just like end in a straight piece like in real life, but the cars will have a nice U-turn animation. You mean Node WebKit or what? Right now they can teleport into the building from the right lane, but because it doesn't have an animation, it doesn't look like they turn left across traffic. But this will also become more intelligent. Yeah, this I will also do this. Alright, let's look at our Oracle implementation and see how we can make it better. So our Oracle, let me close the window real quick. Our Oracle stores 3 different things for each entry. First, we store the next lane. So, where should I explain this to you guys? I guess I can just add comments because they should be there anyways, and I will explain it like that. So Oracle is an object, is a 2-level nested object. The first layer or the first mapping is, first layer we maps source lane to all possible or to all stored destination lanes. No, let's say it in a more simple way. It maps source lane, destination lane pairs to the next lane on the shortest path between them. So this is what we store in this Oracle thing. It's an array because source lane and destination lane are IDs. Let's clarify that. Here for each entry in Oracle, we store the age of the entry here. Stores the age of each and this stores the total distance of each total path distance. Alright, so now this is what we store right now. We store the next lane for each source lane destination lane pair, which basically tells us the next hop that we have to use. We have information about the age of this entry, so we can deprecate it after a while and recalculate it. This is done for two reasons. First, we want to keep the size of the overall Oracle database small, so we want to periodically remove entries, so only paths that are looked up very often will actually be stored, basically implementing a cache there. And then we also store the distance for each source lane destination lane pair, so we can quickly make queries about distances. Now we want to store new information. Let's call that Oracle merging distances left and Oracle merging distances right. And let's also try to describe in a comment what these will do. Stores the distance that or let's describe it, stores if there is an alternate lane on the left or right, that can be used without leaving the path. Then we store the distance until we have to merge back from left right, or infinity if we can stay on that lane forever. If there is no alternate lane, we just store like some value like -1, which tells us that we can't merge there. All right. Let me have a quick look at the chat. I think Drake Tent is making people look like they're blowing someone off. Don't do it. How do you type on multiple lanes? You select one lane, then you hold control, select another lane, and now you have two cursors and you can write on multiple lanes. You can also do stuff like this, select different places, have multiple selections, do copy and paste multiple times. It's really awesome. Alright, so let me know. I just wrote down what I was thinking of doing. Did you understand what my plan is here? Okay, we'll get some more water. Be right back. What, did I pick my nose? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm drinking tap water, it's delicious here. Did I really just pick my nose? Oh, that's interesting. I should start doing that or introduce it everywhere. Alright, I will remember that if I ever go there. Yeah, if someone... Oh, let me actually try to describe. So, Risk-Wished, we're implementing... or we're changing the way pathfinding is implemented so that it doesn't only give a car one best route that it can take, but that it also tells this car which neighboring lanes it can use on its way there, so it can then, when it's going there, decide when to switch lanes when it becomes necessary. Just a short gist. Alright, now let me have a look at the way this is implemented. Alright, so let me quickly explain with a picture maybe what we're doing when we look up a path. So when we want to get the next lane on shortest path, we look if it's already stored in the oracle, and if we already have an entry we can just return it, of course, but else we have to do a star, which is for those of you who don't know what a star is, it's basically one of the most common algorithms to find the shortest path in a network of nodes, like a graph. Oh, data game is from Russia. So yeah, you don't have to know in detail what this does. It basically explores the graph and finds the shortest path from our source to our destination. And now we have a little bit of a problem, because we will get a result like maybe this is what our path looks like from our source to our destination. But remember that in our oracle we save everything in the form of next steps. So how do we convert this path to a list of to a list of entries? Let's give numbers here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What we do is we do a backtracking. We start at our final point, go back 1 point, and add an entry that the shortest path from 7 to 8 is 8. So this is what we do first. Let me use, yeah, this is what we do first. Then we backtrack 1 step further. So we now stored this entry. We backtrack 1 step further and we say the shortest path from 6 to 8, sorry, goes over 7. And now we stored this path. Then we continue doing so. 5 to 8. 5 to 8 goes over 6. And we do this all the way. And then we have this list of next lane entries in our oracle. And this is pretty convenient now, because the way we will be adding our entries for merging distances will also make use of this backtracking, because let me draw a scenario. If we have something like, let's say we have a path like this. Maybe like this. And let's add one on the right here. So maybe this goes somewhere else. This just stops. Here's our start. Here's our destination. Pathfinding will tell us the shortest path goes just straight through like this. But now when we do our backtracking, again we add first we add this section to our oracle. Then we add this one. But now we can also store our additional information that we have an alternate lane here. And the merging distance here is basically the lane of this length. So let's say this is 100 meters that we have left to merge. So we say that, okay, on this segment here with this entry, we can be on the left lane and we would have 100 meters to merge back. On the right lane, we can't be because there is no lane. Let's continue doing that. Here, we now have to add our 100, and let's say that's another 100. So here we have 200. No lane on the right. So we have 200. We add the entry and say that we can't merge to the right. We do so for the next one, but now we have actually lanes on the left and on the right. So now we have this and this. So here we have now 100 meters on the right to merge back, 300 meters on the left. So this will look like this. Our entry. Do you guys understand what's happening? What if you can use multiple lanes on the left? Well, this is what I was going to get to. So let's say we are currently here, our car is here, and it is possible to merge to the left, so now it merges to the left. But then it asks the pathfinding for a completely different path, and it will now get this path. And we will look at not this entry, but we will actually look at this entry, and this entry will be different. It will have this here on the right, this here on the left, and basically this will be something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600. Or no, this will actually be infinity, because if we merge right here, we can stay on that. So here we have infinity, and this will be 1, 2, 3 will be 300. So if our car merges left, it will look up a different entry, and we will have our own left and right distances for that. Do you guys understand that? Yeah, so it switches to a completely new path, exactly. But the nice thing is that we don't, each path only needs to know about its left and right neighbors. And we don't need to encode anything else anywhere. That's all we have to save. How are you planning to handle times where two lanes end at once? It should still work the same way. Let me try to draw that. So you mean something like this. They both end here. Well, if we are on this lane, for example, we only get the information that we can be here for 200 more meters. So this is fine. If we now try to go left, so if we now actually are, if we already are here, we will only have 100 meters to merge here, because we shouldn't ever be allowed to get here. So this entry has to be 100, but that makes sense because our official path from here goes like this, and it will only add neighboring lanes here and here, but this one won't be added, so it should handle that case. And if you're in the leftmost lane, okay, if you are in the leftmost lane, if you are here, then the official path will tell you to do this. Then the official... Alright. If you are in the leftmost lane, okay, so you shouldn't be able to get to be here in the leftmost lane. You should only be able to be here. Whoops. To be here. And then the official path would be like this. And it will tell you that you can't go here. Of course you can go here. So let me think about that. Yeah, we just have to be careful how to calculate these distances, and if we add them in the right way, then a car should never get here. How are you planning on telling the system that? Basically, the system will see. Let me think. We will do backtracking. So we will start with this segment. Then we do this segment next. But when we do this segment, we notice that this goes somewhere else. And that this goes somewhere else. Yeah, we notice that this goes somewhere else, so we don't add that. So this should work. Now if we look at this segment, okay, that's where we have to think about it in detail, because of course this doesn't yet go somewhere else, but it only goes somewhere else after here. So no, I think if the official path already is merging, we can't be anywhere else. So if the official path tells us to be merging, we shouldn't be merging left anymore. So yeah, does that make sense, Killhour? Yeah, it's exactly like the drawings you posted, but it's not encoded in the lanes themselves. So, but only the pathfinding knows about it. Yeah, thanks for the link. I was going to open it. Yeah, exactly. We're basically doing that, but in the pathfinding. Does this allow for the destination also be on the left lane? Yes, sure, because then we would have a different if our destination is here, then our official path will just be like this. And we would have this as an alternate lane up until here, this up until here. Yeah. So this would work. Yeah, kind of like that, but not with a number of segments, but actually use distances. What if the source is that blue dot and the destination is far right? Well, then you just can't go there. Yeah, I'm already using a star. Alright, let's try to do this. So here in our function, and let me move you over to my other monitor again. Here in our function, save all shortest paths on shortest path, which is kind of a very verbose name, but it describes what it's doing. We basically, we do this backtracking. We have our source lane, our destination lane. We have something called came from, where we let me think about that. This is information that we got when we constructed the path. It basically just tells us which lane is connected to which other lane. Yes. And how long it took us to get there, but we don't really have to worry about those two. We start our backtracking at the lane before destination lane. This is how to read this. So this is destination lane. This tells us which lane came before the destination lane on our path. Current next lane is the destination lane. So first we do the very last, let's say this is our path. First we do the very last segment from here to here. And we save that first entry. And then if we're not at the start yet, so if we reach the start, then we're done. Else we will go back one lane. So our current next lane is our current start. We add the distances together that we just need for the distance calculation. And we set our new start as the lane before our start. So now we would do this segment next. So now here we can start adding some interesting stuff. So if let me think when we can start doing that. No, we can start doing that at the very beginning even. So all we have to watch out for is if our let me think. Yes, if our current lane, so let's first get this lane, because remember here we're only dealing with ID, so we first have to get it. So if our current start lane, left lane, A relation, if it has a lane that's on the same side of the road, and the left lane at A is the same as the left lane at B. Which means that we have this case and not this case. We want to make sure that we have this case where they actually stay next to each other. If this is the case, then we can, and let's also create a helper function like the save next lane. Save left merging distance. Current start to destination lane. And the value we will have to sum up, yes. So let's introduce two new variables. Current merging distance left is 0 at the beginning. Current merging distance right is also 0. Now we have to current merging distance left, we have to increase that by the length of our current lane. Yes, we have to do that. So current start lane let's just call that current lane. Let's not call that current next lane, but current next. Oh wait, no, I'm stupid. Let me, these are already lanes. Yeah, this is already a lane. Sorry, we don't need that. We can just say current start. Yes, okay. We have to add the length of this lane, and then we store this. Now, if there isn't a parallel lane on the left, let's implement it in a way that we don't store anything. And instead, what we have to do is we have to reset that to 0, but we won't store anything. And if there isn't anything stored as the left merging distance, we will interpret it later during lookup as that we can't merge left. So we only store the distances where we can actually merge. Let's reformat that a little bit. Now we add the same thing for the right side, and I will be very careful not to introduce any mistakes due to copy pasting. So if current right lane A relation is same connected side as connected and on the same side, and our right lane at A is the same as our right lane on B, then we increase our merging distance right by the length of our current lane. And let me think. Current merging distance right, yes. Save right merging distance. Let's make this more consistent. Let's call it save merging distance left, save merging distance right, current merging distance right. Okay, so This should be the basics. Now the problem is that we don't handle the case yet that we don't yet handle the case that KillHour described earlier, where we have two lanes that end. So we have to check for what? Alright, we have to check for the case where we have this, and this is our official path, and we must merge here, and then we don't want to add this entry here. So if we are merging, we don't even want to do that. So this means that if our current next lane isn't our lane on the left, yeah, if it isn't the current lane on the left, only then should we even think about that. Current next lane isn't our lane on the right. Yes, a car can merge over two lanes in one segment, but it will have to do two consecutive merges. If the distance for that is big enough, that's possible, definitely. It will just do one merge and do another merge. Alright, here we have to reset current merging distance, right? Yeah, if it's a real long segment, that it will just merge and will switch the lane and hasn't finished the segment, and that it can just do the same again. Here in the pathfinding, we just save how much distance you have to before you absolutely need to merge, and then the car can use this information, compare it to its current speed, and either adjust its speed so it can merge or give up, basically. Yeah, it can switch multiple lanes on the same segment, but it will have to do consecutive. It's not like we didn't implement switching over multiple lanes. It will switch over one lane and then notice that it can switch again all in one segment. Okay, so now let's implement these save functions that actually save our information. We need source, destination, no, source, destination, distance. Yes. Now we have to make some checks to create necessary data structures. if they don't exist yet, because remember the oracle is created on demand and we might need to create some of the data structures. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're doing, no? Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. We're introducing these kind of, you can see them as barriers if you want. That's exactly what we're doing. By the way, is the music still going? Yeah, I have it really quiet for me so you don't hear it also from my microphone. I hope it's not playing some random... Oh no. It started playing some random mix. No. I hope I don't have commercial music in there. No. No. I have to be really careful. Stupid. Why did it do that? So Mixcloud started playing some random suggested DJ mixes. Which is... Why does it do that? How stupid is that? Ah, because I clicked this and not play all. Sorry, sorry. Oh, what is this? Thanks, I will have a look at that. So yeah, let's hope that there will be no content ID matching by Twitch or YouTube. Yeah, let's just hope that it isn't as bad. I mean, it happened to me before on YouTube and that you basically just get the warning, but I hope they won't mute the sound. Let's just see. I will be more careful about that in the future. Twitch will have more issues than YouTube, I can almost guarantee you, based on what I've seen so far. Alright, but let's actually continue coding. So here we basically check if we need to create any new data structures to implement this this two-level object map that I described up here. Alright. Oh no, we don't have to do this check, we can just set that. Did I forget anything? No, that should be all. You don't even need one due to commercials, just if you want to restream something you need the proper license for that. Alright, Let's do something ugly and just copy paste that for right. Okay. Yeah, but I'm listening to the music really quietly. It shouldn't be on the microphone. But I don't actually know how to record multiple tracks with Open Broadcaster software. Yeah, I will have a look at that channel. My problem so far was that I just didn't find enough good music. I don't want to use headphones because they annoy me and it looks kind of stupid. Because I only have like really big headphones. And yes, I like to listen to it myself. Yeah, in the past streams it has been picking it up. I noticed that because the music in the recording sounded kind of like it had some echo on it. But now I made it more quiet. Okay, yeah. I will experiment with that sometime soon and see what I can do about it. Yeah, maybe little headphones, but they annoy me even more. I guess I can just use the ones, for example, that came with my iPhone. I hear that they're pretty okay. Yeah, I think I will do that next live stream and see if it actually is so annoying. Alright, so let's see if what we just programmed is working at all. So what we will do is we will create something like this. Then again, remove these lanes. Add a car spawner here, from here to here. Now, as you can see, the cars are still merging because they, of course, don't care about our new information. But we can have a look at what got stored in our Oracle. So Oracle, let's look at merging distances left. I think this will be interesting. It's empty, which is very bad, of course. Why is that? Let's look at merging distances right. Now that's more interesting. Why do we only have the right ones? I guess because the path tells them to merge over immediately and then is only concerned with the ones on the right. So here we have some entries and they look like they make sense. So, alright, let's try to query that specifically. Let's, for example, find out what the merging distance is if we are on this segment here. This is lane ID 2 and we want to get to lane ID 14. So we have to look up the entry Oracle merging distances right from 2 to 14. We don't, sorry, from 2 to 14. And that's about 300 meters. Okay, now if we try this lane here, ID 8, so from 8 to 14, this seems actually pretty reasonable. Because if we are here, and if we are on the right lane of that, so on this one we have 165 meters left to merge. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Alright. Do you guys understand what's happening? What we just implemented? Yeah, I know the animation is not beautiful yet, but forget about that for now, please. Yeah, there is a merging velocity, but it's probably too high right now. But I just made sure that we now have the right information, and now we have to start using that information. Segment divisions, like this. Here you can see the arrows. The arrows show you where the segments are divided. So the distance numbers seem reasonable. Yes, there will be car crashes, but please keep questions such as this for the next Q&A session. Alright, so now let's make the cars use that. As you can see now that cars try to immediately merge over because that's what the system tells them to do. So now first let's try making the cars more stubborn, and let's try making them drive straight for as long as it's possible. Let's try that first. You delete the inside two lanes on the first segments. Okay. I can try what happens. So now they have to drive straight, sure. Of course, and then... what? What the heck? What is happening? Ah, no, it works. Okay. There was probably some bug of the... Yeah, because the pathfinding didn't get updated yet and sent them to lanes that didn't exist anymore. Which I need to fix, of course, but now it's working almost smoothly. Yes, sometimes they don't have enough distance and then strange stuff happens, but most of them make it in the right time. No, they didn't have the info already because they only know one way to traverse these, but they don't know any alternate routes. Right now there is only one correct way to merge here because you basically have to merge over these two lanes. But before there were multiple places at which you could merge. Yeah, sometimes that happens. I know the exact reason why that happens. I won't explain it right now, but it's nothing bad. Previous info, yes, that works. Alright. Let's make them use it. So, let's close a couple files here. Let's go over to cars. And that's not so easy because there isn't a nice way to find out which roads are affected by roads that are deleted. Or I would have to iterate over all paths, which would be very slow, so I just don't do that yet. I just wait for the pathfinding to rebuild it itself. Alright, I will get some more water. I don't know why I'm always so thirsty on stream, but whatever. Gives us a little break. Yeah. I don't understand what you mean, Pixel Player. I think you have a strange... You imagine it in a strange way. Take a little more break until 30th of something, and then do the final stretch of programming for today. Yeah, this is the plan now. First we will try to make them go straight as long as possible using this new information, because now they follow the official path which tells them to merge immediately, and first we will try to make them drive straight as long as possible. Okay. I'm using Sublime Text to program as my editor. Yeah, that I can do. And I think I even do that. Yeah, the game itself is running in Node WebKit, if you're curious about that, which is basically a special version of Chrome. Thanks. The color scheme I created myself when I was very bored. The theme I got from the package manager. Yeah, that would also be possible to do, but right now they just get... What happens to them? I think they restart their trip from where they started from, yes. What would be annoying? Yeah, I mean, what are the alternatives? I could teleport them to the closest road that still exists, or I could immediately teleport them to the destination. But it's not really that. It's not really that important right now. No, yeah, that would be really annoying. No, it's not always Q&A time, but let's make it Q&A time now. I could use a little break. Let's do Q&A. Just a little bit. The Pathfinder uses A*, yes. Yeah, the fly did stay out, and I'm really glad about that. Is pathfinding a global variable? Yes. A lot of things are global variables in Citybound right now, because I basically make everything global and then just have other modules use the global variables of other modules to figure out which kind of dependencies I even have in the game. And I will keep most of them global for easy debugging and for easy modding. We start in like 5 to 10 minutes. I think I might. Someone asked that earlier. I think I just might. Yes, this will be possible. I tried a new time mapping of 1 to 24. Before that it was 1 to 60, so 1 in-game second was 1 real life second was 1 in-game minute. Now it's lower than that, so 1 in-game day takes 1 real life hour, and it's helping a lot of the agent issues a lot. The game still doesn't feel too slow because you can just accelerate time. I think it's a pretty nice compromise to do it like this. But I will have to see how well it goes with bigger cities and more traffic. That's awesome. Yes, exactly. What do you mean maximum mapping? So as I said, the 1x speed right now is that 1 in-game day is 1 real life hour, and then the acceleration factors are times 4, times 16, or times 64. So with the fastest one, 1 in-game day takes less than a minute, which is really fast. The cars right now, I think I calculated it once, they travel about between 200 and 300 kilometers an hour, which is of course way too fast. But because you're so far away and you look at them from above, it looks right. Yes, elevated networks will be possible. Will there be night? Yes, there will be a day-night cycle and seasons. Yes, you will be able to pause the game. Because my wall behind me is empty because I'm a lazy bastard and didn't do any decoration ever since I moved into this room. Yeah, that's quite fast, but it doesn't look like it. If they would drive at realistic speeds, it would look ridiculously slow. Yeah, I will think about making that a little bit more visually clear. Maybe this is a nice way to do it. Cars already have different speeds and accelerations and reaction times, and yes, they will overtake each other. Trains, boats, planes, bus, subway also. Not that difficult because rails will work very similar to roads. The difference between them, of course, is that you can't merge between parallel rails. There has to actually be switches. So in a way they're even easier or even simpler than normal roads. But I will be able to reuse a lot of that code. Delivery trucks are slower than normal cars, yes. They don't even slow down right now, so that might also help making it more nice looking, although it could also hamper traffic too much. They can't overtake yet. That's why I said they will be able to overtake. The length of seasons will not be directly adjustable, but of course it will be moddable. Yes, I want to add more intelligent parking in the future. I think the first iteration will just have them park at buildings. Yeah, that will definitely be possible. And you can build multiple towns on one map already. They're just not designated as disconnected towns. But you can create multiple small towns and they will have all the dynamics like traveling to work or for leisure activities to another town. So basically your question is, will there be player controlled disasters? Maybe. Definitely not something important, but would be fun to have and would also of course be in the SimCity tradition. Alright, last questions, then we'll continue. Yeah, trains kind of need... Yeah, that's true. Trains don't really need pathfinding. They might cooperate to if you have several lines that have confliction points, but that's something I have to think about. Maybe. I mean, if at some point I will implement multiplayer, this is how it will work. Can you please do a recap at the end of your streams? I would rather cover that in the next update video. I mean, this is what I did in the last update video. I made a summary of what we implemented in the last live stream. It's easier to do it for me like this because then I can take some time, think about how to formulate it in a concise way. Because usually at the end of a stream I'm at my most tired point and I don't think it's good if I try to make a summary of the whole stream there. So just wait for the next update video. No, I wouldn't say that it will go as far as automatically generated towns. There will be initial road networks, I think, but not more than that. Government buildings, they will also be procedural. You will have to zone them and the game will generate them. It could be different things. It could be an existing rail, an existing freeway, or just a small road which will later upgrade based on demand. Yeah. Well, bus and tram stops will of course be ploppable. Yeah, oh, yeah, okay. When will importing and exporting be handled? Oh wait, by the way, Nick, you got the notification because that is the time at which I finished the upload video. It gets a little late sometimes. When will importing and exporting be handled? Yeah, this is one of the next step. In the last update I showed you how we implemented microeconomics and having goods exchanged between local businesses using delivery trucks. The next step will be to make the agents understand the concept of neighboring cities or connections to the greater region and to import and export from there. Yeah, you specify what type. Okay, so let's continue. Let's stop the Q&A and do a little more programming. So what we want to do is we want to go to our cars here, and first let's find out at which place the car queries our new information and where it stores it. Let me think. So basically when we set a destination lane, this is the first time that we can, store that. So in our car, let's add some new fields, merging distance left. Set it to 0 in the beginning, merging distance right. Oh, let's even set it to -1, which means we can't merge right now. And then yeah, keep your questions that I ignored now for the last Q&A session, please. Right. So now when we set our destination lane, we can query these for the first time. So we want get merging distance left, source lane, destination lane. Source info is Oracle merging distances left, source lane, heady. If we have source info, then distance usually I always use for each and MapReduce, but unfortunately they're a little slower in some cases because you have to create a whole closure just for the iterating function, and I almost never want to do that because each closure then later has to be garbage collected, and I try to avoid garbage collection at all costs. Alright, distance is this, if we actually have a distance. Then we return it. Else we return 0. Else we return 0. Let's use 0 as our don't merge value. Do the same thing for right. All right. Here we can say car merging distance left is path finding, get merging distance left. So now we set it initially, and we need to update it when we change lanes, which happens in transfer to next lane. Is that correct? Is this the only place? Yes, transfer to next lane. We have to do the same thing again. Yes. Okay, so give me a little bit of time to think about how to do this now. Now we have our merging distances at all points in time. So now let's only start merging once, let's only start merging if we absolutely have to be. So if, and for that we will have to set a minimum merging, or wait, no, we have to, oh yeah, okay. If car merging distance left is smaller than let's say, let's give it some leeway, 1.5 times our car velocity times our merging speed. This should give us, we want to have distance, so speed is distance per time. Now we need to divide by merging speed. Yeah. If this is the case, wait, no, let me think. Yes, if this is the case, then we start merging, not before that. On the other hand, if we try to merge, oh shit, that's merging distance right. If we're merging left, let's create a variable for that, min merging No. Distance to start merging at merging distance left. So now we only start merging when we have this much left. The problem is that our car will still be set to the next lane. So let me think about that. Right now we also need to change this transfer to next lane because let me think. Yeah, we don't want to go to the next lane, but the one right of it if we can. So if car next lane is the same as car current lane, left lane at A. Then we want to instead just move it to let me think. What do we want to move it to then? This is kind of complicated. Give me a little bit of time again. Yeah, I think I didn't think of all cases, but let's just add a comment here. Alright. I will explain in a second which cases I'm handling here, but I first have to think it through myself. Alright, so let me draw a picture again. What I basically just wrote is that if we have something like this and our official road tells us to do this, we have to understand that the way this is represented in the system, it's actually written like this, and here we have a connection like this. This is how it's stored in the path information. So first we have this segment, and then this segment is marked as the next. But of course this only means that we should merge here. Now the problem is, I'll draw it like this again. If we arrive here but we didn't manage to merge over, we can't actually do this. This will look stupid. So instead we have to continue on this lane and just hope that everything will be alright. And this is what I just implemented here. So if our next lane is actually our lane on the left, like in this case, then let's not go there next, but let's actually continue straight. What I meant in the to-do here is if our lane has multiple next lanes, for example like this, then of course we don't want to continue here because then we're on a completely different path, but we want to continue on this one. But right now I just said 0 in square brackets because I don't want to think yet about how to choose the right next lane. I will just expect right now that there will only be one, which is fine to just test it. So now in combination with this, where the cars only start merging as soon as they absolutely have to, which is given by this here, and the fact that we keep going straight if we didn't merge, we should have now the behavior. We should now have the behavior that they will go straight as long as it's possible. Yeah, if they miss, it will automatically recalculate the path from where they ended up, so that's already happening. Let's see what it looks like, if my thoughts are actually correct. So let's create a multi-lane road, add a lot of segments. Whoops. And then they should hopefully, oh, maybe the last one is too short, so let's also delete it here. They should hopefully only merge on this lane and not before that. Let's see if that works. No, what are they doing? No. Okay, this looks strange. Alright, I need a short bathroom break, then we will debug this. Be right back. All right. So let's try to figure out what is happening here. The cars come from over here. I don't know if you can see that, and then they merge and something strange happens. Let me try to figure that out. So they're still merging even though they shouldn't. What are you guys writing? What happened to the chair? It moved? What? That's strange. I think it's really developing a character of its own. Alright, so let's try to figure out what's happening to the cars. They're still merging even though I thought I told them they shouldn't. Let's just do the stupid thing and console log the merging distances.
Ela está imersa no mundo dos sentidos. O estante.
So the problem is we're getting merging distance left is 0. That's a problem because it shouldn't be 0. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that it's actually 0. That's why I put it inside the if. Let me look at pathfinding again. I think there might be a logical mistake there. Let's format this a little nicer.
está imersa no mundo do sentido. O instante é agora. Amanhã é hoje.
So, in this case, the merging distance of this lane, let's figure that out. So this here is lane 7. No, this is lane 1. And we want to go to lane 14. So let's query our database. First, let's stop everything. We wanna get Oracle merging distances right from 1 to 14, and this is not 0, so we are querying the wrong, or looking at the wrong thing. Yes, we are looking at the wrong thing, I think. We want to get the merging I think we want to get the merging distance of the next lane instead. Yes. Oh, let me think now. That's not what we want. I'm thinking about this the wrong way. Yeah, we want the merging distance of the next lane. Let me try this out if I'm thinking correctly. Still merging. Unfortunately, I don't have much more time, like only 20 minutes. I will continue trying to debug this for like 10 minutes and then do a final Q&A. And we will just continue working on this on Saturday, I guess. I have a thinking error in there somewhere, and I think I almost know where it is. Yeah, I just queried them by hand and they have the correct values, but the problem is I'm not looking up the correct values. I'm looking up something else. And this is confusing me right now. But now if I switch them around, it should work, I think. I mean, right now this is just programming by guessing, but I have some idea of what I'm trying to do. Ah, but this looks better. Let's see what they're doing now. They're not merging at all anymore. Yeah, thanks for worrying about me, Delta Gamer, but it's just just a hard problem, but I think we'll figure it out. Yeah, at least now they're not merging anymore, but now they're not merging at all, so why are they not merging now? So they will try to merge left. Let's console log that again, just to see what we get. If that even makes sense. Oops. Ah, I see. So the numbers are correct, but the problem is we don't take into account the position of the car on the lane. So here we have to actually subtract the value of we have to subtract the value, we have to subtract the position of the car on the lane that it has already traveled, because else we're just going to take into account the distance, the merging distance based, or the merging distance calculated from the start of the lane, which of course doesn't make sense if we already went further than the start of the lane. Oops. now let's try again. Nah. But let's try to also lock this new thing. And let's modify our spawner to only spawn one car, or like just make the spawning delay ridiculously large. Yeah. So we only get the values of one car. Whoops. Damn it. Is the letter seen console log where? Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's why I'm only spawning a single car, so I can actually read the values. Oh, but now it won't spawn any car, damn it. Hold on. Let's just quickly try this. Damn it. This is ugly, but whatever, let's do it. To spawn exactly one car. See if that works. Yes, that works. So now we can do that again. Alright, now we see the merging distance that remains, and that seems... Ah! So you saw when the car was at the very end of this lane, it was still at 173. So we're calculating them the wrong way. Why is that? Where are we adding the lengths? Why is the length too high? Let's figure out what the actual length of this lane is. So this is lane ID 6. It has a length of 173, and this is exactly what we stop at. Yeah, I think I know what the problem is, but unfortunately we're out of time for today, or I'm out of time for today. So let's do a final Q&A session and then wrap it up. And we'll just continue with that on Saturday. Whoops. Alright, so let's do a final Q&A. Please repost your questions that you asked earlier. Right now we're giving the cars manual destinations. They don't have a house as a destination, but a specific lane, so they do have destinations. Yeah, but sometimes you have to live with that. So let me know. The hardest part is remaining, because the hardest part in my opinion will be balancing the game and making it fun. I mean, implementing all those features that I'm working on right now is of course technically challenging, but I think that the game design challenges will be much greater. What was the funniest thing that happened during the stream? Well, for me the funniest thing was that when I came back from my bathroom break or getting water, I pulled the chair and you all thought that it was a ghost. It was very funny to me. I think I'm my own ghost. Don't be worried about me. I was glad that I disabled the microphone when I went away, because when I pushed the chair I was giggling so hard. But you couldn't hear it. Can the Oracle take into account the edges that you can reach from a new node, dependent on the edge you're coming into the node? I don't get what you mean by that. Of course it works with just one segment, but I'm just creating multiple segments to try that it works. The stream today was, I think, 3.5 hours now. Or do you mean the Paradox stream? What is next on your to-do list? Actually finish this damn lane merging. Moving chairs. Yeah, and what about that? If it's not possible to turn left, the pathfinding will have to find another way around it. The streams don't have specific times. I announce the exact times usually on the evening before on cityboundsim.com. If you scroll down, there will be this information here that will tell you when the next live stream starts. Right now it says something ridiculous like next live stream starts 3 hours ago, but you can check that on the day before to know when the stream starts. Yeah, probably a good tip. But I trust you guys, of course. Don't make me feel bad about trusting you. Can small airports be expanded when more people cargo need to be transported? How will it be done? Expanding the airport zone? I don't know exactly, to be honest. I guess expanding the zone, but I will have to think about that. How do you get high-rise buildings in the game? Well, when I implement them and you have enough demands for everything, they will replace lower density buildings. You can set the maximum density that you want, but the actual density will of course be dependent on the economy and the demands. Yes, if for my web development I use almost only Node.js. What energy sources will there be? I haven't really thought about that. I mean, as many different ones as makes fun. Like, there shouldn't be millions, because then it would just be tedious to manage them, but a couple ones that each have their own advantages and disadvantages would be nice. There's a link on the wiki for the community activity now on the first page, homepage of the wiki. I'm not using a game engine, and I'm also not using Java. I'm using JavaScript, which is something very different, and I'm using Three.js for 3D graphics. But apart from that, I'm not using any engine. Alright, your last questions, please. Yeah, that's how it will work. Yes, that's correct. Last questions? Yeah, that's true. It's not really... Well, I guess you could call it a graphics engine. I would go as far as that. You will also zone them, and then they will get procedural buildings if there's demand. Yeah, I'm also really enjoying it. Yeah. So yeah, I think we can just end it here. Thank you all for joining today. I hope you enjoyed it, even though we had to cut it off in the middle of implementing something in the end. But we will, as I said, just continue on Saturday. Tomorrow evening I will announce when we start on Saturday. I think it will be earlier than today. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and see you soon. Have a nice evening, morning, whatever it is. Bye bye.